So you come to a new country and you want a way to get around. So you think, I know, let me get a car. Then you remember, alright, I need to do lots of adulting for this to happen. Fees, expenses, conversion of licenses. Yeah, it's a lot of work. And this is exactly why I want to avoid it for as long as possible. Hi, I'm the Rum, one half of Wine and Rum. We're a couple living here in Dublin, Ireland, from Barbados and Austria, and our channel is about teaching you how to move to Ireland, how to live here, and also how to thrive here. We also have a new series showing you places that you might want to live in Ireland, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, please do subscribe. So the inspiration behind this video is a question that we got from a subscriber a couple of weeks ago, asking, is having a car in Ireland actually worth it? As someone who actually doesn't own a car here in Ireland, I found this question very, very interesting. My answer was, it's all about your lifestyle. Your lifestyle will dictate whether you want to have a car in this place or not. For me, it's a no for now, and I'll go on to explain why it might be a no for you as well. As I mentioned lifestyle, I was first introduced to using mass transit or not having a car when I first came to Europe to study back several years ago now. Where I'm from in Barbados, yeah, a car is like a necessity. It's almost like a non-negotiable. If you want to do anything fun, you can't really depend on public transport, especially if you have parties and stuff to go to, because, you know, who's catching a bus that late at night? But me, a young guy, fresh off the plane, I was quite impressed. University that I met the wine at was at this place called Kingston. And for the next year, we, didn't have a car or anything like that. We survived purely upon the mass transit. And the cool thing is that it has about an express train that gets you from Kingston to Waterloo in about 20 minutes. Right there, smack in the center of the city, and then you can go wherever you want to from there. For that entire year, we did day trips, we went all over the place. We did not feel anything missing from our lives from not having a car. And this was a thing that when we moved to Ireland, I was hoping to repeat. I like the lifestyle of having that freedom and being able to go anywhere and not really have to worry about, okay, do I fill up the gas? Do I have all these other things? Of course, the big thing that I alluded to is the cost, these expenses. You were a kid, you were like, yeah, excellent, I want a car, I want to do things. Until hopefully like a lot of you realize what would happen when you got your first car. Sure, besides the actual money to buy the car, there's all these other things like maintenance checks, a tire going out, and the tires never seem to want to go one at a time. It's always multiple you need to replace. Something going wrong with the engine, especially that most likely if you're here, you're going to go for a used car. Dublin's already expensive enough. I don't see most people deciding, yes, I'm gonna get this brand new off the showroom floor car. And besides that, there's the gas. And oh yeah, the insurance, another hot topic here in Dublin. Yeah, the crazy thing about the insurance is that they're variable rates. Your insurance could go from something as low as 400 a year to something crazy like almost 2,000. Of course, in those circumstances, you probably have someone under your insurance as well. But for the actual charges and how these things are calculated, it might be based on where you live. Of course, Dublin, higher fees, what age you are, the type of car, what the car is being used for, even something as simple as where the car is actually parked at night. Is it safely in a garage or is it more dangerously on the side of the street? So far for the expenses with the car, you've got the actual car itself. Hey, maybe there's a loan, your maintenance checks, the gas, and also the insurance. Oh right, how could I forget? Parking. Because you can't just park anywhere. In our old flat and this flat as well, there's a parking space that you can use. Except in the old flat, if we wanted one, that would be an extra €100 per month. So if you're actually unlucky enough to not have a place to park your car and you need to have it in an apartment, that's more money as well, and that's parking at home. Maybe if you have to drive to work, maybe you got to pay for a parking space there. Yeah, that sort of inconvenience is something that I don't want right now, and I don't know if you want it as well. If you can afford it, sure, go for it. But for me right now, yeah, that isn't something I want in the budget. Now if I'm being honest, the next reason is probably the real reason that I've been just lazy and not wanting to do it as well. And that is the amount of work that I need to go through to actually get a license. I've had the ability to drive now for almost half my life. Or is it half my life? I'm not telling you how old I am. But yeah, most of us who come here who are, might be in their 30s. Yeah, we've been driving since we were 16 or 18. So we've been mostly driving for most of our lives by now. It's kind of weird to come to a place and be told, oh, guess what? You need to go through all this stuff that you did at 16 or 18 years old once again. And the thought of that is very, very laborious for me. The current lifestyle that the wine and I have, a car isn't really necessary. We've moved a bit further outside of the main centre of Dublin city so we can see more reason for it. But still, it isn't at that sort of stage where I would really decide, okay, let me redo these things that I've already been doing and getting my license converted, going doing this test, taking these lessons. Yeah, there are a whole bunch of steps and so on like that I'm not outlining in this video. I might put a link there to the steps so that if you're interested, you can go check out yourself. But yeah, going through all that labor of trying to get a license again and then having to remember how to drive a manual car. Yeah, this is a side note. Why manuals? Why are there so many manuals out here? Back in Barbados, I got my light good license. Yeah, I kind of drove a small van. And yeah, it was a manual. But then I was thinking, yeah, this is probably going to be the last time in my life I will drive a manual. No one in my family has a manual car. What is up, Europe, with the manual cars? I don't understand. You have to drive great distances. Yeah, this could also be number 4 because most people here are not from a small country where you can drive from one side to the other. I keep saying this, but driving for anything over an hour and a half is way too long. That's why I don't live in a commuter town. It's just way too much for me. In the end, there isn't actually that much that should prevent you from getting a car or a license, especially if you need, to have yours converted to an Irish license. The main thing is that there's some time commitment as well as some money commitments. If those are cool with you, then yeah, have at you. But for those of us who are not ready to part with that money or time yet, or the lifestyle just simply doesn't match up, it's not really worth getting a car as yet here. I think that as remote working happens or more people decide I need to flee this place because the rent is so high in the city. Yeah, as we start moving to commuter towns and move a bit further afield, that's where I definitely see that most of us will have to go through the effort of getting those licenses converted, putting on the cash in order to have a car. Because over time, or even very quickly depending on the type of car and so on like that, having the car and lower rents and even if it's a long commute, could really help you adjust to a more simple, less worrying about expenses sort of life here in Ireland. I hope that answers some questions about if it's worthwhile getting a car here in Dublin. We have covered lots more topics like this, so please do check out our backlog and do remember to subscribe for our next video so you'll know exactly when it is. And in the meanwhile, you can check out one of our new playlists. We're going around the country, nearby for now, trying to check out new places that you may want to live, that you may also be interested in. So please do check it out if you want. And with that, this is the Rum signing out. Bis später.